Ayo, and what is up, gang? Thank you so much for joining me here for part 2 of this weekend wrestling update. We have got news on a former WWE superstar unfortunately passing away, another former WWE superstar in all kinds of trouble, and 2 future WWE superstars, as the WWE expressed heavy interest in 2 former TNA World Heavyweight Champions, and we are going to talk about all that and maybe a little bit more right here and right now on the newest, fastest rising podcast in all of the YouTube wrestling community. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
All right, wrestling fans, thank you so much once again for joining me. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is my chrome silver buddy, the World Heavyweight Champion of Microphones, my tag team partner and best friend in the world, Blue the Snowball Microphone. This is the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Thank you guys for joining us for part 2 of the weekend update. It has been a very busy weekend like we talked about in part 1. House of Glory was fantastic, and we are still pumped up and psyched for that, and we are going to ride that high as long as we can, because we know just a few short hours from now, the WWE's Clash of Champions is going to take place, and it's going to take me out of this moment. It's going to take me out of this wrestling high that I'm in. So I wanted to take advantage of being in this gracious and generous mood and my happiness that I'm very fulfilled wrestling-wise this weekend. And it's going to be sucked away in just a few hours, like I said. But we are here today to bring to you the best coverage in the world of professional wrestling, and we have got some tremendous stories to go over today, as we highlighted in the intro. So let's kick this show off. Do not forget, you guys, if you enjoy today's broadcast, to smash that thumbs up, smack it right in the face, kick it, body slam it, drop kick it, whatever you want to do to it. Just hit it and make sure that you show me and show the world that you like and support everything that we are doing right here on the channel. Follow me on Twitter at Nick Nightmare. You see it right there. That's how you spell it. Go check me out. Follow me there. I'm live tweeting during shows. I'm just spouting random wrestling nonsense. Sometimes an unusual fact. Maybe sometimes I put up an amusing picture. Something that I photoshopped myself. You know, I do all kinds of stuff all over social media. So you guys got to follow me there too. I'm not just a YouTube guy. You know what I'm saying? Let's expand and grow together. Go check me out there. Also, become a fan of the Facebook page. Facebook.com/The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. All one word, The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. It's all connected. Go be a fan over there. It's one of the best ways you can keep on top of everything going on here at the channel. Every time an episode drops, it is uploaded right there. But the best way for you to make sure you know how an episode drops is to be a subscriber. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell right next to it. This way the bell will go off in your pocket, on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, wherever it's going to go off. Every time a show just like this drops, you will be notified immediately, and you can check out your favorite wrestling show in the world, The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. And as always, this episode is brought to you by the lovely people at Clutch Chairs. Go check them out. The link will be down in the description below. It is there for you. Go click it, check out, and see if there's some new stuff. Go buy yourself a chair if you feel so inclined to do so. Just make sure you do so by clicking that link first. Earlier today, in part number 1 of this show, we talked about the new WWE show coming to Facebook Watch, the Mixed Match Challenge. All the details and all of my thoughts and opinions about how this show just could be a big train wreck, or it could actually be maybe something worth watching. I'll let you know one way or the other, because we will cover it as it is aired here on this channel, as we do, because we cover wrestling on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. But today, we've got some very, very much more impactful news, much bigger news, and we're going to start with the sad part of the news, and many of you may not know who he is, but many of my fans that are of my age and are from my generation, you will know the name Tom Zink. And Tom Zink worked for both the WCW and the WWF, has reportedly passed away. And Zink's obituary was first found in the Star Tribune and says he passed away on December the 9th in Minnesota at the North Memorial Medical Center. No further information on the cause of his death was reported. Tom Zink joined the WWF in 1986 and formed the Can-Am connection with Rick Martel. I remember that. I was such a little goofball kid, and I was still, into that babyface heel thing, and I didn't really understand wrestling. 1986, I was only maybe about 9 years old, and I actually enjoyed the Can-Am connection. I thought they were a good team, and then Tom Zink would also go on to tag team with Tito Santana. They had a lot of great moments with Tom Zink. Nothing that really propelled him to superstardom. His teaming with Rick Martel as the Can-Am connection was probably the highest it got. When he went to WCW in, I think it was 1989 or 1990, he was called the Z-Man. He was paired with Flying Brian Pillman for a while, but nothing really came of that. And, it's sad because, these guys, they never really got their day. You know what I mean? And, they don't really get the respect they deserve. I'm sure he worked as hard as anybody, and his passion was probably as strong as anybody, but he bowed away from wrestling in the mid-90s, never really to resurface again, and it's just a sad situation. Just like the sad situation that has befallen Justin Credible. Let's cover this one because this is a wild, wild story that came out of nowhere over the weekend. Former WWE wrestler Justin Credible caused quite a scene last Friday night in Connecticut. He attempted to hijack a wrestling show while allegedly under the influence of alcohol. It all went down during Blitzkrieg Pro's event in Enfield. I hope I said that right. Enfield, after Credible rolled into the ring and began to stumble around demanding a microphone. Wrestlers can then be heard asking each other if this situation is for real or if this is a shoot. The next few minutes are filled with the roster and staff asking Credible to leave the ring, and he refuses. It eventually leads to the promoter getting involved, and he gets on the mic and says, "You were my hero growing up, I swear to God, and now you're a freaking disgrace." He continued, "I'm the guy that's paying you tonight, and I asked you not to come out here because you reek like booze, and you tell everybody that you're sober. You're not, and all these people paid to see you, and you're in here glossed over, stumbling everywhere. Get out." Justin Credible announced he was going to a WWE-sponsored rehab back in July after posting an alarming video on the internet. However, it was never actually confirmed that he went to said rehab. This situation gets a little bit weirder, as after leaving the ring, he came out again minutes later in an attempt to get the microphone and continue on his drunk-fueled rampage, but he was denied and eventually walked out of the arena. Justin Credible has now gone on to say he has agreed to get help from Diamond Dallas Page after this recent relapse this weekend, causing that scene at Blitzkrieg Pro. He posted a video update saying that he fucked up and he embarrassed himself this weekend by getting drunk and attempting to hijack that show. He says, and I quote, "I don't expect anyone to feel sorry for me or forgive me. All I'm saying is I'm about to take a journey. I talked to Dallas today just a couple of minutes ago, and he told me to make a video, and we're going to track every little thing." Justin is also adamant that he's been going to therapy through the WWE Wellness Program and just had a bad night and a relapse on Friday. Again, he says, and I quote, "All I want from this is to redeem myself, for me, for my family, and hopefully for the few fans I still have out there and the few people that do care about me. I've fallen and I've fallen hard, and I'm picking myself back up." Justin Credible is a former ECW World Heavyweight Champion, a two-time ECW Tag Team Champion with Lance Storm as the Impact Players, and an 8-time WWE Hardcore Champion. This breaks my heart And it's very, very sad to see these kind of situations arise. And this isn't the last time we're going to see it. It's going to happen more and more. You have these guys that have tasted the big time and just can't seem to get past the fact that they're not there anymore, that they can't perform the way they used to, and that as much as it pains them to look back, they've never reached the heights that they've wanted to, and they regress back into their emotions, and they start to drink and to self-medicate and to go down this destructive path, all because they start to regret lots of the decisions they've made in their past that maybe led them to not being a world heavyweight champion, or maybe the reasons why he's not in good graces with the WWE anymore, or any other promotion. All the things that lie dormant in a person's past are the reasons why they self-medicate, why we do things to harm ourselves so that we don't have to feel the actual pains of the situation. Guys like Scott Hall, guys like Jake Roberts, these are stories that have been told over the last few years, and they are successful stories that show you that there is a way out of such destructive behavior. And the best part about this story is the fact that Justin Credible has reached out to a man who has successfully changed the lives of many of these old and retired pro wrestlers that just can't get their heads right because they long for the spotlight, and they regret so many of the choices that they made in the past. Maybe it has to do with, or maybe it's not even coming from such a negative place. Maybe it's the regret of not being with their family, and all the stuff that they missed with their children. There's a huge price that you pay when you enter this world, and if you're serious about it and you're dedicated, you sacrifice a lot, and that has to take a toll on you. And some people choose to go this route of the drugs and the alcohol, and when you're in the athletic field, the steroids and the pain meds, these kind of things just absolutely skew your judgment. And these are the things that happen that lead to moments like they had at Blitzkrieg Pro Friday night. We can only hope for the best in the future for Justin Credible. Another one like Tom Zink, he's not passed away yet. I don't mean it like that. I just mean he's never really been huge in wrestling. He's had a few, pretty good moments, but he's probably never fulfilled his true potential or what he really wanted for himself in the profession of pro wrestling. Now let's hope that Dallas continues his streak and gets this guy back on track, and that Justin Credible will probably be just fine. He's in great, great hands. And now on today's top story. This story has angered me not because the WWE is taking people from TNA. That's not why it bothers me. What bothers me is the choices of the superstars that they are going after. Now, I know there are a lot of superstars that I'm interested that are still under contract with TNA, whatever, Impact Wrestling, whatever they're calling themselves nowadays, and they are not going to be around anytime soon. Guys like Abyss, talents like Rosemary, Eli Drake. These are probably the three people I enjoy most in all of Impact Wrestling right now since the departure of the Hardys and that whole collapse of the structure of TNA. I don't still watch as much as I used to, but I am a big fan of Eli Drake. I wish he would come to the WWE. I'm a huge fan of Abyss. I don't think he's got many years left. I would love for him to finish off in the WWE. All of the opponents I would want him to fight are gone, but I'd love for him to be there. You know who I don't want to come back to the WWE? Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is 10 years ago what Apollo Crews is right now. Just a big, strong, smiley baby face that just makes you throw up in your mouth. It just doesn't... he doesn't do anything for me. I understand the appeal, and I understand Vince's fascination with him. I hated Bobby Lashley when he was around in the first run. This is the guy that was backing Donald Trump in that WrestleMania main event where Vince had his head shaved bald. I do not like, nor have I ever liked Bobby Lashley. Not in ECW, not in the WWE. He's just bland. He's boring as shit. Much like Apollo Crews. He's actually a combination. If you took Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews and mashed them together, you would get Bobby Lashley. And that is not a recipe for success. Vince is fascinated and has always had a thing for Bobby Lashley. He's going to come back and he's going to be inserted right into the main event picture, and he does not deserve to be there. I don't care that he's been the TNA champion for the last 4 friggin' years. They got nobody else down there. And aside from that, he's been the most bland and boring champion I've ever seen. If you've watched TNA, we're not talking about his matches because he's a talented athlete, but we're talking about the fact that his promos, every word out of his mouth is a monotone, boring, stale delivery. It's like he has no emotion. His eyeballs are stuck wide open so you can't tell whether or not he's genuinely shocked or not. I mean, obviously, you could tell how I'm running him down right now, and I don't mean any disrespect in any type of way. I just, as a wrestling fan, watching him as a wrestler, do not want to see him. He does not appeal to me. Neither does Ethan Carter III. Ethan Carter III was around in the WWE in the mid-2000s when NXT was really first taken off, not as NXT, but as that reality experiment show, that friggin' stupid elimination show that changed from week to week and just made everybody look like a joke. His name was Derek Bateman. He never made it onto the main roster to perform. I believe he was on SmackDown, maybe for a blip. And then he went away. And he emerged in TNA, and he ended up being dubbed the nephew of Dixie Carter. That being said, the only way the arrival of Derek Bateman, Ethan Carter III, interests me when it comes to the WWE, you might think I'm crazy, but if he comes with Aunt Dixie, I'm in. I would love to see Dixie Carter in some sort of capacity on WWE TV. She is the perfect foil for Stephanie McMahon. Her acting ability is not great, but it's there. She was much better than Karen Jarrett was, I'll tell you that much. And I think that her specifically tailored to the angle with Ethan Carter, not to come and take over Raw or to do anything like that, but just to be the thorn in Stephanie's side, by inserting her nephew and being his manager and being there to be, to shut Stephanie down, to be his representative, to get him world title shots, much like Paul Heyman does for Brock Lesnar, to be his advocate more than a manager. Dixie Carter is the one handling all his finances. That's his Aunt Dixie. That would interest me greatly, but that's not what they're going to do. They're not as creative as me. They're not going to go out there and give this exposure to Dixie Carter and bring TNA's name out and have that exposed at all. They're going to be stale and bland. They're going to bring him back. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought him back as Derek Bateman and put him right down in NXT where he'd probably get over well. Again, listen, in both of these guys' cases, it's not about their wrestling ability. It is not at all about that. Not in the slightest. Because they both can wrestle. They're both fine in the ring. It's about the character and about the personalities that come along with it. And Ethan Carter III has a great personality as Ethan Carter III. But he can't come to the WWE as Ethan Carter III. Actually, he can, based off of this new agreement that Impact Wrestling has with all their former talent, that they could take their personas from TNA and perform as them anywhere else. So this is the perfect scenario for him if they decide to pull the trigger on that idea. And I would be all for that. Only if Dixie Carter is involved. You don't have her take over Raw. You don't have her become the GM or the commissioner. You strictly have her be the manager or the advocate for Ethan Carter III. Have her go out there and introduce him. Follow the same path as you did with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Get her out there, hyping him up. The crowd's going to boo her to death. She'll be a heat generator for him, and it just might work. Smart Mark fans will be all over the fact that Dixie Carter is in a TNA, in a WWE ring. Two big former TNA names are paired together. They're not going to acknowledge it and talk about it, but you can't help, if you already know the history, you know what it is. So it's going to appeal to a certain sect of the audience. That would be fine. Bobby Lashley in no way would be fine. I'm telling you right now, Bobby Lashley comes. Vince McMahon's already probably hard in the pants because he wants Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. That's a match he never was able to get. Bobby Lashley has MMA experience. He would be all over that. I could see it right now. And if he doesn't have that idea, and he hears that idea, then shame on me for bringing it out into the public consciousness. Because he's probably dropping all over himself just at the prospect of Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. Who wants to see that? I'd rather see the return of Dave Bautista. It's another big return people are talking about for 2018. They're going to maybe have Batista come back. But he wants to have a run with Triple H. He's going to have absolutely nothing to do with Bobby Lashley. And Batista versus Lashley, we've seen in the 2000s, I believe. And it was no good. It's no good. I don't care about Bobby Lashley in any way. I don't want him back in WWE. I don't want him back on my TV. Ethan Carter, we can make an exception for. Batista, definitely I won't mind if they do it correctly. But that is my feelings on that. But apparently, the WWE is all in on this. They want Bobby Lashley. They want Ethan Carter III. What they're going to do with them is where my concerns come in. And it's going to be an interesting year. 2018 is starting to shape up very interestingly. And the WWE has a list. They actually put an official list on WWE.com of 5 superstars, or 5 wrestling acts, we should say, that they are looking to bring back into the company. Some of them would probably shock the hell out of you, and I think that I'm going to do a review on that, because I would love to talk about their choices for some of the returns that they're looking forward to having, because many of them would be absolutely tremendous. These two that we talked about today, Bobby Lashley and Ethan Carter III, not tremendous. Ethan Carter has the possibility, but it's highly unlikely that they're going to go the route that I just laid out for you. Very highly unlikely. That's going to do it for part 2. We got about 1 hour left to go eat my dinner and enjoy myself before WWE and the Clash of Champions makes me want to puke. Because I'm almost positive that's what's going to happen. So thank you guys so much for joining me here for part number 2. Don't forget to check us out later today for this Clash of Champions review. And then as always, tomorrow night we got Raw. And then Tuesday we got SmackDown. We have part 1. If you missed part 1 when we talked about the Mixed Match Challenge, go check that out. And then we're going to have the House of Glory review of 7 as well, coming to you guys Tuesday afternoon. My name is Nick Nightmare. With me, as always, is my trusty tag team partner and the world's heavyweight champion of microphones, Blue the Snowball. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and that is going to do it. And we are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. I love you guys so much, man. Thank you so much, and let's get out of here. If I can get the mouse over the button. There we go. Click.